Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mention It All podcast. I am thrilled to be here today with a good friend of mine, a fellow Bravo lover. We're always in the group chat, and now we got to bring it to the microphone. He is the host of the Gabbing With Gib podcast. You know him. He's been here before. Gibson Johns. Welcome back.
It's a pleasure to be back in the studio.
How you doing?
Dylan. I'm great.
How has your summer been?
My summer's been very good. I'm kind of ready for it. I'm not like one of those people who's like, fall, let's go. But like, I'm kind of ready for like I want my routine back, you know?
Yeah, it does feel like the temperatures have been like easing up a little bit, and it's like, oh yeah, like, I'm putting on jeans. This feels okay.
And like, I honestly, this month has been very kind of light on the Bravo front, generally speaking, which I kind of am appreciative of. You know, I don't love when you have too much of a TV commitment in the summer.
It's been strange the last few weeks, feeling like I can wait till Thursday or Friday in the week and just not watch anything and still not be behind.
It's weird, right?
Because I'm so used to the grind of like, if I don't watch the screener for the Sunday night show, then I am starting off my Monday already behind. Mm-hmm. And then the whole week it's like, so there's something on Tuesday that I got to watch. And then Wednesday, Thursday, it's a lot to keep up with. And right now it's kind of like, like Thursday's Bravo day.
We have 2 housewives. There's no Love Island on right now. You can scatter in your other shows if you want. Like I like this life right
and there's like not a ton of scripted stuff. I don't watch Summer I Turned Pretty, so like that's not.
I sadly do watch that. Like, I'm sorry.
It's almost over.
One of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life, but I have to see it through. I do.
I mean, there's like 3 episodes left.
No, the acting is really tough. And I don't go to shows like that for acting, but it's especially notably poor in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like I would rather watch women who aren't actors giving us theatricality.
Totally. Like I tweeted like Belly is like one of the most annoying people I've ever seen on TV, and people were like, okay, says the guy who watches Tamra and Shannon for 10 seasons. And I'm like, we're not comparing Belly to Tamra Judge. I'm sorry.
It's apples and oranges. Apples and oranges and whatever they eat on Summer I Turned Pretty.
Like a freaking high noon. I don't even know.
Are they of legal drinking age on Summer I Turned Pretty?
She just turned 21 on season 3.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Belly.
Yeah.
This show I will absolutely never watch. It was interesting. This past week was the Love Island USA reunion. Mm-hmm. And it has been funny to watch some of the reactions online from people who are clearly not familiar with Andy Cohen's game. That like, they're like, oh my God, he was so rude to this blah person. And why is the host so mad? And it's like, the host? Who do you think you're talking about?
I love that Love Island is so popular.
Yeah.
I love that is the #1 streaming show, as Andy reminded us during the reunion. But I swear to God, people who watch that show have never seen reality TV before. They don't know how it works. Andy Cohen in that reunion was light and fun, and he's a little shady.
Yeah.
But if like you can't handle him questioning Huda, saying that she has basically saying that she has an NDA with Netflix, and that's why she says she can't talk about her boyfriend. Like, you gotta relax.
Yeah, it's been an interesting. It's just interesting because I think like we're so immersed in the Bravo universe and sort of the Bravo online bubble that it's like, oh, there's people here who have never watched like people yelling at each other at a dinner table.
And also,
like grow up.
These people were barely yelling at each other. I wanted more people weighing in on other issues. I felt like every time there was an issue on this reunion, it was like, all right, let's have Huda and Shelley talk it through, but nobody else like sort of weighed in on their situations. And that is, I think, what I was looking for more. Like they were the only ones there, you know, like we saw it on TV. I just wish that like, I don't know. I wish we would have had more back and forth and weighing in.
I think like the best Bravo reunions probably within reason are when everybody kind of gets involved in the conversation, and that there's a difference between that and like everyone yelling over each other and it's hard to follow what's going on. But like there's sometimes that idea of like, oh well, like it's like, oh, this is between Larsa and I, Julia, stay out of it. And it's like, no, actually, like this is an ensemble show. Like it benefits everyone when everybody has opinions about things and is speaking out. And with Love Island, it does feel like there's almost this weird sense of like decorum where it's like this is between her and I, you shouldn't speak on this. And it's like, I would like to hear it.
I think it's almost like media training, and they're almost too careful to like weigh in on things, especially because Love Island, even like the most like minimal issue becomes a hot button issue for that show, which is really frustrating, I think. And so I think they're almost scared to weigh in on too much of it. But I'm like, why is Vanna there if she's not going to weigh in on the Coco situation? That like, you know what I mean? Like they're there to talk for 5 seconds, and then I don't know.
Well, she was there to, have her, pillow face filter glam shiny on our TV screens.
Yeah.
It's hard also. Just like that cast has so many people where they have to do like 4 or 5 rounds of like cycling in different people and couples and stuff. It's like, okay, even for a 2 full hour reunion special, there's just like it's simultaneously like too long and not enough time in a really strange way where it's like, okay, I hate that I'm still watching this, but also why haven't we heard about X, Y, or Z?
100%. Yeah, I thought that the reunion was fairly lackluster, and not because of the host, and honestly not because of them. It just felt like the focus was like on these ephemeral interviews they'd all done after the show ended, but we weren't showing clips of them, and they weren't like directly quoting them. So it was sort of like when you did that, and they weren't even saying the names of, they weren't saying Call Her Daddy. They weren't saying,
right.
Shelley said Nick Vale, which I thought was hilarious. Yeah. But like, it just felt like we were focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah, it is. It's like almost like if you're gonna talk about topics like that, you almost have to, like, editing wise, it feels like they're existing in their own kind of format. And it's like, if you're gonna talk about all those topics, like maybe you do need to take a page from the like Housewives Vanderpump playbook and be like, okay, we're gonna roll footage of Call Her Daddy or of Nick Vale or whatever. That it's like, yeah, we kind of can't have this conversation without even like screenshots of stuff being put on the screen. Like the context does matter, even if sometimes, and we'll talk about Orange County this season, like sometimes it can become a little bit too central, but like
definitely
you need the context if it's going to be the topic.
And instead we get like 2-minute long montages of like lost footage from the show and like completely uncut deliberation footage, which I actually thought was pretty interesting. But like, yeah. And then, but what do you think about like, I don't know what the answer is here, but I feel like the production like timeline of it is really, it's a difficult problem to solve for them because the show is live. So like, or essentially live. So it's like, we see it all happening in real time. Then they come back for like a month and then they film it. It doesn't air for another 3 weeks. Amaya and Brian pretended to be together on their certain media appearance. There's no way that the timing of them unfollowing each other right before the reunion. How do you do it where like, should they be allowed to do podcasts before filming the reunion? Should they film the reunion right away when they come back? Because it almost felt too like old hat too to me.
Yeah, there is something about the way that the people that leave the show enter this like weird vacuum of hanging out together and making content and going on podcasts and like seemingly having this like weird like influencer summer before it's like they're back in real life but not actually going back to their real lives. And it's like I almost like would filming the reunion like the second the last people get back to the US work better? I don't know, because then they haven't had time to like process anything or watch back anything. But there's
something off about the timing of it right now, but I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, it's hard, I guess, because it's like on Love Island, like they're not doing, when we watch Housewives, the women are doing press while the season is airing, whereas like by the nature of Love Island being mostly live-ish, like Amaya hasn't spoken out of the context of the show until after. Yeah, it's
odd. It didn't hit right for me.
Yeah, I do wonder for next season, assuming that it's, again, a big hit for them, like if they'll tinker with the kind of format or timeline at all. Because the reunion was like a newer thing.
I think they started it last year, I want to say. And I'm a new Love Island person, so I'm not super like invested in how they do things necessarily. But yeah, and I also just think that the podcasts of it all and the media of it all just played way too much into what they were talking about.
I want to get your thoughts. We just got the trailer for the new season of Real Housewives of Potomac.
We did.
And this has dovetailed really interestingly with actually the day that this comes out, as you're listening to this, the Grand Dame is free.
She's free.
She's free. Tuesday, September,
She's out.
whatever, September 2nd is Karen's release date from the Clankety Clank, from Sing Sing.
You better watch that bar soap.
And it's so interesting because last week when this new release date, it sounds like we're talking about like an album dropping or something. When the release date was announced, people were like, oh, wait, is Potomac still filming? Will Karen pop up for, the finale or whatever? Turns out they're done filming. It's ready to go. Cut, print, moving on. This season is premiering beginning of October. And obviously, there's no Karen appearance in the trailer. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be something filmed and added on later. Karen's representation in the trailer, though, is that it's bookended by Giselle writing and narrating this weird letter to Karen about how these hoes are really testing her patience. I was not necessarily expecting that type of Karen representation in the trailer.
Me neither. I was so curious how they would address it.
Yes.
Again, I was one of those who I kind of thought they were still filming because I actually love that they kept it so locked down. I had no idea what was going on in Potomac other than Monique coming back. Mm-hmm. I loved the letter thing. I thought, because Potomac will do these weird sort of like rose-colored glasses treatments to their trailers, which is there's like a campy element to it. But I thought that it was a really it presents Giselle as the grand dame right now in the group. It maintains her position at the top, and it also it sends the message like Karen's not here, we're moving forward, because I think the rest of the trailer is this is a new era of the show, fresh start, back to our roots. But Karen, there's still a place for you here.
Yeah, it's notably different from last season when Robin and Candace, who was not an OG, but really had embodied that role kind of, when they left the show, and we basically it was as if they hadn't existed. We weren't talking about them. They certainly weren't being like referenced in the trailer like this. And so I think it's meaningful that Karen is still being like really included as part of what makes up the full group of Potomac, because like if we never see Robin again, they don't give a fuck. But like, yeah,
she has to still be represented, because I think ultimately Karen fucked up majorly, but she's a very popular person and really kind of integral to the show. And I think the trailer to me felt like a continuation of that amazing last reunion they had. Yeah. And remember, they had a printed out framed picture of Karen on the couch with them, so she was also represented there when she wasn't there.
Yeah, it even from like a network perspective, it doesn't feel like Bravo is trying to like make us forget that Karen's not here.
And they've done that before for other situations and people. And so they're alluding to it, but they're not getting weighed down with it, which I think was the problem with Potomac. For a few years there, they were getting weighed down with these issues. And it's like, I actually don't want it to be about the aftermath of Karen's DUI in the group. I want it to be about the aftermath of Stacey potentially hiring a boyfriend for the show.
And look, I think that's what we're going to get this season, because this trailer is pretty exciting.
It's great. Good vibes.
I mean, obviously we'll see when the season premieres kind of like where the full season nets out. But like watching this trailer, I was like hooting and hollering, having a good time. I had to rewatch some moments. Like I feel like Potomac really has like gotten its mojo back in an exciting way since that reunion last season.
1,000%. Stacey, one of the best big casting choices in a very long time. Like she just, all the drama's around her, and I think she's still kind of gonna be wishy-washy about it, but like that's just her way, I guess.
Yeah, we get a glimpse of potentially Stacey's husband being in the picture somehow. We don't know exactly what that looks like.
Kind of vibe.
We get Wendy and Ashley throwing out there that she's trying to get with Chris Samuels.
And that's Monique's entrance cue.
Kiarna and Stacey
and Stacey. I think multiple.
There's a lot of heat, it looks like, coming towards Stacey, and I'm curious, like this season, like how she will kind of handle that, because I feel like last season until the reunion, she was kind of like, people almost looked at her as like a weird curiosity, that it was like, okay, like I don't really know what's happening with Stacey so much, but this season it seems like she's more like the target of,
and I weirdly think she'll handle it well.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if she'll give us answers necessarily, but she seems like somebody who's like good at evading, but like it would be good TV. I don't know. I have faith in her in that position. And I think that she seems like strong enough to handle it.
Yeah.
And like, and maybe a little delusional enough to handle it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm
excited.
I'm very curious to see what Monique's return will be like.
Because I feel like when she popped up, we saw those things of her at DC Pride. I kind of figured it was earlier in filming, but she's barely she's at the very end of the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe she comes in like more towards the middle,
Maybe.
potentially. But unclear how involved she is. I think that it's very, what I'm interested in is her and Giselle. They have a lot of bad blood, and like how that Monique's final moment on the show was the binder reunion. So like that was, and then her and Wendy I'm curious about, because Wendy's obviously historically been much more linked to Candace.
Yeah.
And obviously Candace and Monique have a big history. So I'm really curious like what those friendships will look like.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, like, with Giselle, with Wendy, and with Ashley, because they're the three women still on the show who
the central pillars
were
right
there
now.
with Monique. Like, we've seen on a lot of other franchises recently this idea of, like, what is kind of the boundary of when you would lose trust with people that you're on this platform with, whether it's being recorded by somebody, whether it's Lisa taking notes of what somebody's saying in Sevilla. Like, to me, like, that receipt binder, and Wendy brings it up in the trailer, like, that's something where I could see that being like sort of a sticking point of her coming back in the group of like, the last time we saw you, you had this like coordinated file cabinet saying that you had information on all of us. Yeah. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see, like, how deep we get into that and how they handle it, of like, she did something that could easily be seen as like an unforgivable offense, like within the kind of like fourth wall, like friend group construct.
Right.
And so like, yeah, like, what is Giselle's incentive to like try to move forward with her? Not even from like a Candace's friend perspective, but from just like a
personal them too.
You did this to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like what gives me a lot of hope in that regard is how Wendy and Giselle were able to move forward last season, and particularly at the reunion, where I feel like they really unlocked this dynamic between themselves that was like, they didn't have to be best friends, but they could like give each other shit without taking it really personally and seriously. And like, that's what it's all about on this show, is like kind of, you know, calling one another out, but in a fun way. I think that Giselle recalibrated. I think that with Karen out of the picture, Giselle knows that this is like kind of all on her shoulders in a lot of ways, not fully, but that gives me like, Giselle can basically like redo the formula she did with Wendy and how they move forward, essentially. I think like have one big sit down, feel each other out after that, and like I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, and if you're right about potentially Monique coming in more toward the end of filming, then it's not so much like, oh, Giselle has to be fine with being, you know, besties with Monique. It's more like she has to agree to film one good sit down.
Exactly. And the rest is group scenes. Whatever.
Right. Group scenes. Maybe she comes on a trip, but she doesn't have to like kind of let her, she's not going to be like holding the champagne flute.
But how funny would it be if like maybe Monique represents this like good old days, you know, back in the day Potomac thing. I don't know. I think that it feels right. Like something about it just feels like the formulas are there. They've balanced it out.
Yeah. What's your prediction for how the Karen release is going to potentially factor or not factor into the season?
I feel like they will do a pickup scene with her for the finale. That's my hunch. Because I did think they were filming, and so but I think that it'll be a pickup scene.
I had a vision, like a lightning bolt the other day, of what if Giselle has visited Karen, and picturing us getting like the scene of Giselle like parking in the parking lot and going in and then coming out after.
And she's in the car.
No, not Karen in the car.
Oh, I see. During a visit.
Because they probably can't film the visit, but Giselle could be like, I just saw Karen and like, whoo, it was tough.
Well, that would give me chills. I would love that. And I love that vision that you had. I feel like this week has felt sort of like the prison week for Housewives, because we got several pictures from Jen Shah behind bars. And It's really interesting comparing those two because we have heard not one single peep from Karen, not one photo. We didn't see her mugshot. She has kept it locked the fuck down. And that's obviously intentional. And so that makes me even more sort of like, how is she going to do this?
I am kind of holding my breath on Tuesday or like this week, next week, whatever, of like, are we going to get like a grainy paparazzi photo that's like the first time Karen's been seen since her release? Is she gonna post?
She should get ahead of it.
Hey y'all, I'm back, or like thanks for standing by me. I don't know what to expect. I don't remember like when Teresa got released.
Like
I feel
almost
like it was such a long
pre-Instagram.
time ago,
Yeah.
but also like it was so clear that it was the whole thing was being filmed. So
and also
like
the whole thing for them as public figures and like as housewives, it's like you want to show growth and that. So
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to know like I don't think her core personality has changed. Like she's still Karen Huger, but like how much is she gonna embrace like the untouchable grand dame of it all? Or is she gonna be a little more humble? I don't know. Like
we shall see.
How are you gonna play it? I think she should get ahead of it. Post a really iconic
Puts the
Instagram
selfie in the car.
day after Labor Day. Karen, would you stop taking pictures of yourself? You just got out of jail.
You just got out of jail.
Take the picture though, Karen. I want to see it.
Take the picture.
I'm going to be happy to see Karen Huger.
I know.
I am.
I know. She needed to go away for a minute, but...
And she paid for her crimes.
Let's talk about Orange County.
Let's.
I'm so curious. We've talked a little bit about it offline, but like overall this season so far, like where is your, I would say like frustration to enjoyment level of kind of the direction that this season has taken in regards to like the bloggers, the Kiki Monique of it all? How have you kind of received this season?
So I feel like episode to episode, I'm on the enjoyment side of it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the season when I'm watching it. I'm not, but then when I take a step back and like I think bigger picture and I'm talking about it on podcasts and stuff, I'm like, damn, we're really relying so heavily on this, like 4 examples of the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
And it's all centered on the same person mostly. And that's when I'm like, that I don't love the direction of it. So like individually, episode wise, I'm like, it's fun, it's entertaining, it's good tea, it's good drama. But I think the direction of the show, I'm not worried about it necessarily like on a Jersey level, but that these are the kind of things that Jersey was getting in trouble with at the end of its run. And that gives me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like it's sort of about like the overall health of the franchise. And I feel like a really, really healthy show, if you look at the ensemble cast, there's like, it's like you're looking at the garden and there's like so many flowers sprouting up and you maybe have to pick a few to focus on for the season. But it's like there's all this other stuff that we could look at. And I feel like with OC this season, because these couple of storylines and, you know, sort of central arguments are taking up so much of the oxygen, it's like, I don't actually know how much else there even would be to focus on. But like, it kind of feels frustrating that we're not really, it doesn't feel like anything else really has room to like stand out.
No.
And there are things where it's like, I would be interested to see a little bit more of like how Shannon is, you know, moving forward or not moving forward with Tamra. Like that's not really becoming a central thing this season. Like it doesn't feel like Heather really has that much like not personal storyline, but like we're not getting a lot of like one-on-one dynamics that aren't tied back to the central like Katie and Gretchen and Tamra and Jen and Kiki Monique and all of like it feels like everything is a little
mentality.
Yeah, everything is a little too like interwoven around one thing versus kind of like the web being more spread out.
And we'll get there, but like even like that scene at the end of this episode, it's like it just felt like way too many cooks in this kitchen. Like why are we all weighing in on this for like another week in a row?
Yeah.
And it's all against one person. And I was talking about this with somebody recently where it's just like, I'm shocked at how many housewives have still not learned the lesson that like the gang up is never going to go the way you want it to. It's almost always going to flip on its head. And a lot of people are going to sympathize with the person who's on their own. Not every time, not fully, but it feels like another gang up situation. And I think this is a little bit different because I think that this is a mess of Katie's own making.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't land when you see 8 women coming at one of them.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, where do you kind of, because I agree that I think it's like Katie has made some poor choices in how she has moved through this group and through this larger world. Mm-hmm. But I do kind of, I see your point that, like, that doesn't mean that she is a bad housewife who we don't want on the show anymore.
Yeah, it's a really hard balance.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that I think were promising about Katie. It just feels like almost between seasons or going into the show, mm-hmm. she just got way too in deep. And like, she was clearly talking to all these different people. Clearly. Yeah. Like, there's so much smoke around that. Like, I don't even really care what all the specifics are. Like, and I also, like, people are like, oh, the other women talk to Instagrammers and bloggers and podcasters, but they don't get called out for or caught because they aren't being as messy with it. And like, there's a difference. And also like talking, and also you and I were both at the Heather Dubrow press day, and then people compared that to what Katie's doing. And it's like, having a press day out in the open is very different than secretly meeting up with Instagram accounts and like clearly talking about your castmates to them.
Yeah. And I think also like the difference of it being sort of in support of the show, mm-hmm. where it's like when you're doing press during the season airing of the show that you're on, and like also like press that is sanctioned by the network and all of that, like that's a different, because Katie's doing that too. I mean, Katie's having a press day. Katie's on Watch What Happens Live. That's as they all should.
Yes, they all do
like
that.
Come on the couch. I'm here. But like the difference is like the between seasons, this dinner that Katie, Gretchen, and Jen had with their respective partners at Mastro's in the fall before filming even started, like, we shouldn't really know about that. Like, it's, like it doesn't need to be some big secret, but like, I would imagine when they're like mapping out the season from a production standpoint, like, you actually don't want a dinner that happened months before cameras were up, where there's disagreement about what was said, to be like central to,
because it wasn't filmed,
the show.
So there's no way to check them on it.
And like, that wouldn't have really come up if there wasn't this weird like grapevine. Kiki Monique said that Katie said that Gretchen said this thing. And I've talked about kind of how it's difficult to even speak what's happening because there are so many layers of who said what.
Telephone, yeah.
Yeah, like telephone, like just like wires crossed. But yeah, like it makes for like a little bit of a frustrating viewing experience when some of the most important conversations to the drama didn't happen on the show.
Didn't happen on the show, and then also happened between two people who aren't on the show.
Right.
Like, we have the Kiki Monique point of it. We have the reputable journalist part of it.
Uh-huh.
Those people, I mean, Kiki got her time on the show, which I'm glad she got a chance to like share her side of it. But I think that like, if you're having the podcaster, Instagrammer, journalist on the show, we're in too deep, I think.
Yeah.
It's one thing to show the clip from Jeff Lewis Live that somebody was messy on, and we talk about that. It's another to like have a full-on meetup with them at lunch.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was like this past season on The Valley when it was like Kristen calling whatever her name is from Pilates to be like, did this person say this? And it's like, oh, this is not.
Yeah,
like,
I
can't process this.
To me, it's just a signal that like, all right.
Right, that it's like there are 7 women on this show. Talk to each other.
Yes, totally.
Fight with each other. Speak behind each other's backs to each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you said, there's not enough of that happening.
Yeah.
There's not enough of that happening.
And I think there's like, I love when a Housewives franchise has like side characters.
Of course.
Like, I think it's fun when, you can, on Atlanta, it's like, oh, we need to bring in Portia's sister, or, oh, like we need to ask, whether, Candy and the gang, whether, Don Juan said this. Like, there's a difference between having like people that aren't full cast members participate sometimes, mm-hmm. and having this weird like fourth dimensional layer of
like
the press
hearsay.
or the blogger. Yeah, like it's
yeah.
because that's not something that like this Kiki Monique scene really is an exception to that rule, where it's like normally like if you're talking about something in that space, like it's not going to be, those people don't come on the show. I do think I think that within the context of this season, having Kiki come on was kind of necessary.
I agree. But also her and Katie had lunch.
Right.
Why are her and Katie not going to get coffee?
Yeah, that is such an interesting thing
know?
that it's like in theory, or what we're being told, like her, whatever relationship Katie had with her is the beginning point of this.
We're skipping Katie in this.
So then like Kiki is clearing the air with Gina and Gretchen, which is useful, but then Katie still has a completely opposite, you know, it's still a she said now between Kiki and Katie.
Yeah.
And like, I'm inclined to believe Kiki Monique because I
Kiki
know her,
sure.
and also because she didn't fail a polygraph on camera. But like, it does feel like, okay, so like we're never actually getting like the technical definitive answer here.
Which is just like, all right, then what are we doing here? You know, and like last week's episode, I just felt like they were all caught in a lie except for Tamara, basically, in relation to the situation. I'm just like, it feels like nobody's fully representing what actually happened here.
I mean, I don't know how much stock I put in these, rent a polygraph tests that
very little.
That Emily set up at her Persian New Year party, which I have to say, the Persian New Year party, I love the inspiration of celebrating, Shane's mother's
and his
culture and
heritage,
their heritage. This was one of the least vibey parties I've ever seen on Housewives. There were some nice decorations. I'm sure the food was delicious. It was literally only the 7 women with like no music, no entertainment, no background. It truly felt like we're having this party just to get everyone in the same place for these polygraph tests.
They show up immediately, fill out their questionnaires, and have the lie detector.
It was like
nothing else was happening.
It was like Happy Persian New Year. Oh, what year is it? That's not important. Go fill out your form.
These should have been 2 separate events. It should have been Emily been like, everyone come over. I have a surprise for you guys.
Persian New Year sounds like it should be the most fun party.
Yes, totally. And that spread looked delicious.
People should have worn like traditional dress. Like it could have been really great.
It was
and instead,
it was a very loose
it's
concept.
like, okay, Katie's gonna go throw up a little bit in the powder room because she's so nervous, and then everybody's gonna go take their lie detector test.
I can't. In 2 separate rooms.
2 separate rooms. I do love that it's like they had set up these like black box polygraph like tents within
where
her
were
house.
those? Like in her bedroom?
It was like guest bedroom and finished basement. But the polygraphs it's interesting because now essentially everyone kind of gets cleared of all wrongdoing, including Gretchen. And Katie is really the one who's been hung out to dry here of like, hey, you failed every question.
I'm anti-polygraph in general.
I'm anti-polygraph in general. I do think the editing, I will give the points to the editors of watching Katie and Gretchen do their polygraph tests simultaneously and having those stitched together was very, it felt very high stakes and compelling. But then when the results are shared, it's kind of like, okay, what now? Because they're saying that Katie lied about answering all the questions. She's not going to admit that she lied about the questions. Meanwhile, Gretchen, again, is contradicting something that we have on camera of her saying that she went to the hospital after Naked Wasted, which she said to Tamara and Shannon, which is just like so insane. But she passes the polygraph where she says that she didn't go to the hospital.
And the only person who gets called out is Katie, even though Tamara and Shannon are sitting right there. They don't call Gretchen out for some reason.
Yes.
Even though they heard it in the car last week.
So weirdly, even though Tamara and Gretchen still are not friends, it feels like there has been sort of a consensus among the group that like Katie is going to be the one who is the villain here. And it's like, okay, so no smoke for Gretchen. We're not still really mad at Tamara. Like where does this
Well, it's like Gina
land?
And Emily, they were sort of talking really weirdly about this. They like when they were sort of like, this is going to be a really pivotal, memorable night for our group. And Gina said at one point, like, there's a plan or something. Like she said something along those lines. And I was like, So it just feels sort of like a setup. And again, I see a lot of wrong in how Katie has handled the situation.
Right.
But it just felt like they went into this thing wanting to almost like not frame Katie, because she did the polygraph herself. She could have told the truth or passed it. But it just felt like, and then after her results are revealed, it's just like they like attack her.
Right. Like after those results, it is basically like Katie has been voted off the island on Survivor. And it's like, we think you should leave. And she's like, fine, I guess I will. I'm going to go cry to producer Kendall on the sidewalk about how I didn't lie. And it's like, I mean, it still feels like I'm stuck in the middle here, because it's like, I do believe that Katie is lying about at least some of this stuff. But at the same time, like, even if she is, I don't necessarily think that her being like, you know, shamed off the island is necessarily the best thing for the trajectory of the season.
Well, it's also like, okay, so let's say she's off the island. She hasn't gone on the trip later in the season.
Right.
What are they all going to do? What are they going to talk about?
Yeah, suddenly the topic again is going to be like, does Tamara have feelings?
So then you pull the one common enemy out of it, like what happens? And I just think that like they're all sort of telling a version of like a lie. Like I think Gretchen's lying because she did tell Tamara that she went to the hospital. I think she did tell Katie and Jen at this dinner that she went to the hospital and drugs were found in her system. Maybe she didn't say I was drugged.
Yeah,
so then Katie brings that to Kiki Monique, and maybe she repeats it in a way that's like she was drugged or there was drug in her system. And then maybe along the two other people in this telephone game, it was repeated as Gretchen was drugged by Tam. Think she was drugged by Tam. Like,
at some point, the word roofie came into it. Right. And I don't necessarily think that, like, I believe that Gretchen told them at that dinner that she was roofied by Tamara.
I think she told them she went to the hospital and the toxicology report said drugs. And now she's totally lying she's lying too. And then Jen is lying to protect Gretchen, it seems. And then we have this also two different stories about when Slade called Matt. Katie says it's because Slade was like, you need to cover for Gretchen. But then Gretchen says it's because he was like, what's Katie saying about Gretchen? So it's like, those are two we'll never know about that.
A lot of people talking. Yeah.
We'll never know about that conversation.
And then the weird kind of like wild card thing that gets brought into this episode is that Kiki Monique also tells Gina that Katie brought up this comment that she made last season about, are you wearing is that an Asian designer? And so it sounds like Katie was portraying it as like a comment that she took as racially charged and like negative. And Gina's explanation for this kind of like caught me off guard, because it just like wasn't what I was expecting, where she was like, when Katie came on the show, she talked about wanting to show off Asian designers. And I thought that was really cool. But then she got these stylists and started wearing all of these like high fashion, you know, like Balmain, Givenchy, like the more like classic, like name brand fashion labels. And so then it sounds like Gina brought up, is that an Asian designer? Kind of as like a dig at Katie for like abandoning this goal of showcasing Asian designers, which like, to me, I'm like, okay, Gina, like, I'm not sure that that's like exactly the right, like, that's not
the right issue.
Sick burn, you're wearing like Burberry instead of an Asian designer. But it's different than maybe the way that Katie was. Because Gina's saying like, I thought it was cool that you were going to show Asian designers, but then you kind of didn't. Performative. Whereas Katie, it sounded like, was saying that Gina was being like condescending about the Asian designers themselves. It's tricky.
And if Katie took it as like insensitive, then she's very much valid in feeling that way.
Right.
But I do think that maybe Gina meant it in the way she meant it. But I'm also like, just because Katie said she wanted to spotlight Asian designers in the things that she was wearing on the show, doesn't mean that every single thing she wore had to be from an Asian designer. Like she was probably mixing in different names and
Also, it's like, Gina, like, you could be spotlighting Asian designers. There's no rule that like Katie's the only person. Like, if you think that's such a cool goal, then like, I mean, I don't know. Gina's wearing mostly like Amazon basics, but like, no shade, you know.
No, listen, I love an Amazon purchase. No, but it's like it's just like why to make this an issue, Gina? Like it's just not going to end well for you,
right? And I feel like probably for Gina, like the quicker we move on from that mini controversy, the better.
But good for Kiki for bringing it up.
Good for Kiki for bringing it up.
Yeah, she definitely like.
She's like, by the way,
dropped that in there.
She was like, because we're here, I wouldn't feel right. It's interesting to think about. We're still probably only like halfway through this season, and Katie is seemingly making an exit. Like, I mean, Tamra is still on the outs with most of the group, more or less. So
and she's even having problems with Heather. I'm curious if that's going to build or if that's going to kind of mellow out. What do you think?
I mean, I think that the kind of group-wide narrative of Tamra playing the victim is something that they could get a lot of mileage out of. And I think that Tamra, because she is so, because she has such a history with a lot of these women of kind of doing them wrong and being kind of a shitty friend, like, I think if the gang up target in Katie leaves the building, Tamra would be an easy secondary kind of villain for the rest of the season. Again, I don't know that that's like super interesting to watch for 8 episodes, or that like aside from that like New Orleans like meltdown, like Tamara's kind of like on the sidelines right now. So like I don't think that I need like if Shannon all of a sudden starts yelling at Tamara again, it's kind of like, okay, like we get it.
Yeah, it's also like I want to believe that Tamara is genuinely like trying to do some work, and so it's like let her cook over there. You know what I mean? Like let her do the work.
The polygraph saying it was a lie that she was told she was on the autism spectrum was a tough look.
The polygraph.
Tamara will never admit that was not exactly what was said.
I think I kind of missed what they were saying to Jen. What did Jen, didn't they catch Jen in a lie about something with Ryan?
Jen's lie was they asked if she has serious reservations about marrying Ryan, and she said no. And they said that was she had a major reaction to that question, so she lied badly. And then in the confessional, she kind of says like, yeah, I'm not happy that was caught as a lie, but I'm also not surprised because of how bad my divorce was. And like, I don't want my kids to go through that again. So it was like, I guess I was glad that she was like kind of honest about the reaction to it being a lie. But then it's like, why didn't you just say yes?
Yeah.
Because I think she still feels like she is supposed to say no to that question. And that's another thing. Like, I feel like the Ryan and Jen stuff has been kind of sidelined so far this season. But then just like, we saw them, wedding bikini shopping earlier in the season. And it seemed like they were kind of like all systems go for that like Malibu beach wedding. But then just in the last couple episodes, I feel like Jen has been like a little bit more like, we'll see. I don't know.
And didn't they change their wedding date?
They changed. Yeah, they've like pushed back. Like they're now seemingly like taking a bit more time versus like Ryan, I think, wants to get married tomorrow. And I'm like,
it's taking a bit more time. Let's get married next season on camera.
Maybe, or maybe it's Gretchen and Slade will get married in 20 never.
Maybe like a double wedding. They do like double dates, these people.
Oh my God, a double wedding. Gretchen and Slade, if they decided to actually get married on camera, that would be like such an eye roll, but also like such a gag.
Such a gag. Like after all this time, like you had to bring her back for it to happen,
Do you think Gretchen's going to be back next season? If you had to predict it like right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's going a lot better than Alexis Bellino's return did. And I think they wouldn't want to do 2 in a row of bringing back notable former women as friends for one season.
Yeah.
That's kind of unsustainable to keep doing that. And like,
right.
I kind of hope, listen, I'm not like a big Gretchen person, honestly. Like I'm kind of neither here nor there on her, but I think that it's going better, but it's after this season, we can't be talking about what happened 15 years ago. That is kind of my, obviously this season is fully filmed and edited, so this isn't like helpful advice, but my kind of like, if this were happening live week to week, my like assignment for her for the rest of the season would be like, get involved in some sort of conflict within the group that has nothing to do with Tamra or like what happened, any talk about Naked Wasted, any of that, because I think that that's kind of, it feels like right now Gretchen is having an okay time this season, but all of the actual like substance that she's bringing to the show
is so rooted in stuff that happened when she was on the show before, or like in the years in between, like things that she and Tamra said back and forth in the press or on Instagram or with her daughter or whatever. So like, I think that if I would love nothing more than for Gretchen to like pick a fight with Emily or something random that it's like, oh yeah, like now you're actually like participating in the 2025 version of this group.
It's like her and Katie are having an issue right now, but it's over. It ultimately ties back to Naked Wasted.
Yes.
And I do think that like, you know, having a former housewife re-enter as a friend and having it be sort of based on, you know, something that happened. Like I get that, like that's a good entry point, but getting hung up on it is another thing.
Well, and that's
what happened with Alexis.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, like to tie it back to Potomac, like seeing Monique come back, and we've got to talk about the binder, but also like if there's nothing new going on, I mean, granted, she's gotten divorced since the last time she was on the show. There's definitely fertile,
for sure,
ground to be covered there, but like she has to actually decide to cover it.
Yeah. And I think that like I'm trying to think of other examples of that happening, but like Cynthia didn't even have major conflict on Atlanta, but
Cynthia's just like such a pleasure to have in class.
Right, but she was able to really exist in that group talking about the current issues that were facing them. And she played a pivotal role, I think, and really kind of being somebody to talk to and moving information around.
Yeah.
And that's not what Gretchen's doing right now.
Yeah, and based on the press that Tamra has done during this season, I was going to say the other thing that I think Gretchen could do that would be a power move is like actually fixing things with Tamra. And based on what Tamra has said more recently, it doesn't seem like that's
also
in the cards.
And the funny wrinkle about the whole thing is that Tamra and Katie are close right now, which is kind of crazy. And like Katie's alone on the after show, which I haven't watched, but we saw some little pictures. And I think that her and Tamra are like, I think she's closest with Tamra right now. But they can't have them commentating on the season on the after show together because they're so at odds right now in the season.
I mean, that just... It's tough though, because it's like that feels like such a friendship of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like it reminds me of like when Jackie was suddenly besties with Teresa a few years ago.
It's a little bit like that, yeah.
And it's like
it's not
it's like Tamra is like a little bit wounded and could use a friend. Katie will not be on this show anymore if she doesn't find somebody. And so it's like, okay, you guys are two life rafts like blowing in the wind right now.
Yeah, it's giving that for sure.
Okay, Gibson, we have come to a point in the show where it's time to share some opinions.
Okay.
So in honor of our, beloved, or however you feel about her, Tamra Judge, we are each going to have 1 minute to share our opinions. Gibson, do you have an opinion locked and loaded?
I have an opinion locked and loaded.
Okay.
Does the guest go first or does the host
The guest goes first.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you have 60 seconds.
Okay.
Joe is going to put it on the clock.
Okay. My opinion is that Jen Shah should not come back to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City when she's released from prison in 363 days. I get the appeal. I get that it would represent this huge moment. Monica Garcia is out here saying, I think producers are going to add me and Jen Shah back. It's going to be a ratings bonanza. I don't think that's happening. My opinion is that Jen Shah, even though she's paid for her crime, she's done the punishment, I don't need to see her back on TV. I don't have the appetite to watch somebody who has defrauded the elderly and really not fully owned up to it until the 11th hour. Happy for her that Coach Shaw is back behind bars with her, celebrating their anniversary and releasing those photos. Great. She has somebody still running her social media. Great. She will always be a housewife. She can always, write a book and maybe I'll read it. Maybe I'll hear about it. I don't need you on my screen anymore. It's just, I think the women have moved on. The show has moved on. She was a dark shadow over the show for quite some time. So Jen Shah, my opinion is that you should not return to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Wow. That's your opinion. This is so crazy because my opinion is also about Jen Shah.
No! Is it the opposite?
It's not the opposite. It's not the opposite.
Okay.
But okay.
Is this amazing?
Sure. Okay, so my opinion, as Gibson just stated, Jen Shah will be released from prison in just less than a year. And I don't think that she is going to have that full-time snowflake immediately after she gets released. I don't think the show needs her in that way. But I do think that there is something bubbling up. There is something happening. Her agent, I believe, visited her in prison last week. He posted on his Instagram story tagging her. It's starting to feel like the shopaganda is starting to bubble up. And I do think that we're not going to see her back on Salt Lake City in a full-time capacity, but I think that there is going to be a post-prison project. Something is happening. There's going to be a book deal. There's going to be maybe like an A&E, like Life After Lockup, like TLC, you know, there's going to be some sort of like documentary, maybe even like The Housewife and the Shah fraud. What's it called? One of
Housewife
those,
and the Hustler.
No, that was Erica James. I'm over a minute. This is messy, but I think that the renaissance is coming when she gets released, and I think that there will be a plan, and we'll see what it is. I don't know if that's an opinion, but like
it's a prediction.
It feels like the gears are starting to turn in the last month or so. Like maybe they knew that this release date was going to get moved up. She has a year. It seems from every report we've gotten, from every photo we've seen, it seems like Jen Shah has made prison her bitch.
I agree.
She's going to come out like in the best shape of her life. Her fillers have been dissolved or whatever, however that works. She looks good. She looks healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's
happy.
I feel like she's the kind of person that is going to go to prison for fraud and come out of prison with another business plan. And like, maybe it will feel fraud adjacent.
But it will be legitimate somehow.
One would hope. If she knows what's good for her.
Listen.
I just think like it seems like she has been attacking the prison life fully enough that like she will come out of there like hot and ready like a Little Caesars pizza.
Listen, I am not against her milking this story, telling her story, talking about being behind the bars with Elizabeth and Ghislaine. Tell us about it. You know,
Ghislaine.
I just don't want it on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which I think is like, it is the crown jewel of the network right now. I don't need her to bring her darkness back to it. You know, and it also just feels like we revert back to season 3, and I don't need that. Like the show's moved on.
You know what could be iconic?
Well, it could be iconic.
And again, I don't know if I'm endorsing this because, like I said, the shopaganda is happening, but I don't know if I'm fully falling for it.
It's yeah.
If they stick to the same production schedule, she could get released approximately 3 weeks before Dancing with the Stars premieres next fall.
See, that I can co-sign.
Jen
Have
Shah,
Karen Reed and Jen Shah on the same.
Jen Shah in the ballroom.
Listen,
because that I think it was like
that's perfect.
Watching her on Dancing with the Stars would not require the same amount of like personal buy-in of her story. Whereas like I do feel like if or when she comes back to Real Housewives as any kind of full-time cast member, she will have to get us on her side again. And on Dancing with the Stars, obviously you need like votes and stuff, but like it's less.
But I think Bravo people would be more inclined to like vote for her there than to support her on her screen.
I mean, if she went on Dancing with the Stars, I would be so pissed if she went off week 1.
Yeah, beyond. And the other person she would have to win over for any return to Bravo to happen in any capacity is Andy Cohen, who she stiffed on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
For a sit-down interview and for her skipping the reunion last minute. So like, I don't know if any housewife has returned to Bravo after like getting on his bad side so intensely. Yeah. So I think I
can just picture dancing the Shah.
No, Dylan.
It's Jen. It's Jen and Pasha.
I reject this, but also, where's the popcorn?
It's Jen and Mark.
It's Jen and Taylor Swift's background dancer, who's now a pro on Dancing with the Stars.
Jen and Ezra. It could happen.
Listen. Our friend Abby would have all the tea on that. She's the Dancing with the Stars
I
expert.
can't. I don't know. We'll see. None of us know what's going to happen with Jen Shah.
No, but
I
can't believe we both did that about
something bubbling up. Well, it was like
she's on the
brain. Karen getting released.
It was prison week. It was Housewives prison week.
It's prison week. It's like the new Shark Week.
Happy anniversary, Jen Shah and Coach Shah.
Gibson, thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone where they can follow you and listen to your podcast.
The podcast is called Gabbing with Gib, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow my podcast Instagram at Gabbing with Gib. That's where I post all my tweets and my clips, and
hell yeah,
I want more followers there.
Great. Well, thank you, Gibson. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, follow, and until next time, be cool. Don't be all like uncool.